Hello, welcome back to the Joint Effort and the Berea Ladderback Project. In the last video, I showed you Jeff Lefkowitz's setup for sharpening. In this video, we're going to show you how he uses it. Now, Jeff's going to be using his setup to sharpen a Spokeshave iron. You could just as easily use the same setup and the same process to sharpen a chisel or a plane iron. And though his setup doesn't really support cambering, if you were to swap out the honing guide for either the Eclipse style or the Lee Nielsen style honing guide, you could really easily put camber on your blades using this setup. So you're putting the blade on top of the bars, which is not exactly the way he describes it. Doing
not
the
the way he described it. So I have a setup block here.
What is that distance?
3/4 of an inch.
Okay.
And the blade goes up here, the bar goes here, and so I just hold this up here and then tighten.
And about what angle does that get you honing at?
This should get me about 35.
35 degrees. Okay. So
and
standard chisel angle.
It may not be exactly 35, but it's going to be the same every time.
And that's the most important part.
And that's the only angle so that's the bevel, the micro bevel. The blades come from Lee Nielsen with a 25-degree primary bevel.
Okay.
When the micro bevel gets too wide, I hollow ground, which is what this is,
right,
at 25.
So you go back to the factory.
I maintain the primary bevel at 25.
Okay.
Whether it's flat or hollow ground.
Okay.
And then the micro bevel is 35.
Okay.
So that's about what the shape would be, except that this has a hollow grind.
Cool.
So this was a honed surface and had not been used, but what would happen on a blade that was used, you'd see a dull area right at the edge of the blade on the back.
I can see a bright line. Is that what is that?
That's called a wear bevel.
Okay. Yeah.
So it means you've used the tool and you've worn down that flat a little bit.
Okay.
So part of what we want to do is get rid of the wear bevel. But the first thing we want to do is get a burr.
Okay.
And with a freshly hollow ground bevel like this, one stroke will probably give me a burr. That's all I'll need. As the micro bevel gets wider with repeated sharpening, it'll take more strokes to get that initial burr. And when it gets too many strokes to take the initial burr, I'll take it back to the grinder and just remove the micro bevel, but not go all the way to the edge, which I haven't gone to the edge here. No, there's no burr. So the grinding goes right to the edge, but not over it. Let's see what we get with one stroke.
So with these diamond plates, are you pull stroke only?
I tend to just pull. I think we've got a burr all the way across. You want to feel that?
Let me do that. It's very faint. It's very faint, but I can feel it.
Well,
yep,
so
it's
one
there.
more stroke will certainly do it. When you have a burr, you're at the edge.
A burr is a burr is a burr. It doesn't matter.
If you make a larger burr, you're not going to get any closer to the edge.
Okay, so you're not worried about, when you're pulling that away with that paper towel, you're not worried about breaking that burr off?
And I've never even thought about that.
Okay, so you're not? No.
I'm not.
And it hasn't ever been a problem, has it? Yeah.
So the diamond paste is a grain of rice. That's how much you need.
Oh, Lord. Okay.
And in class, you can just keep adding WD-40. We don't keep adding compound. We'll use 1 grain of rice the whole class.
So the WD-40 is just a lubricant, right?
Yeah, and it'll keep sharpening.
Okay.
So
I don't know, Jeff. You may convince me to switch.
So spread that around. So the first thing I'm going to do is, so this is what I like about this jig, is I can now get to the back without taking it out, and I'm going to hone the back until I get rid of that wear bevel. And we don't really have much on this one. Usually it's a little more prominent.
And you're kind of removing the burr at the same time, right? But you'll put a new one on when
we're removing the burr at the same time.
Okay.
But on the initial sharpening, on the initial flattening of the back, I am looking at that wear bevel, that dull area right up to the edge of the blade. I'm trying to get rid of that.
Okay, and I'm assuming you're trying to be a little bit careful about dragging the wheels on the corner of that plate. You don't want to do that.
I'm not on. Yeah, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, you'll make a flat spot or something if you do that.
So now, if you put if you had this on the underside, you'd be too close to the wheels to do that. And with the larger wheels, you'd also be too close.
Okay.
That's why you need the small wheels.
Okay.
And take a look at it. So what I'm looking for is an even tone edge to edge, which I've got. It's a nice even tone. So if there was a wear bevel, it would show up as a lighter tone than this. I'm just trying to get an even tone edge to edge.
So you want to avoid the bright spots.
Now I'm going to do 5 strokes on this and see if I have a burr.
Okay. Okay, so you even do pull stroke only on the plate.
I do it everywhere. I've just gotten used to it.
Okay.
So now I'm going to see if I have a burr, which I have here, but not here.
Okay.
So I'm going to keep going until I get a burr all the way across. I'll do another. I may put a little more pressure down on that side that does not have a burr.
So just 5 more strokes.
Yeah, and you at this stage, you want to make sure you can feel a burr all the way across. That's really important. So there's definitely a burr there. And I feel a burr all the way across now. I may take a couple, it's a little light on this end.
Okay.
Take a couple more strokes. So I've got a burr all the way across. Now I'm going to go to the back.
Okay, so we polish the burr off again.
And now I'm going to pretend that first part of getting that burr was 5 strokes. And now I'm just going to go down 4 strokes back, 3 strokes, just kind of chasing that.
So you're going to be turning the burr back and forth from one edge to the other.
So 4 strokes, 2, 3, 4, then a little bit on the back.
This is really fancy.
3. And 1. So at this stage we can look at it. You won't really be able to feel a burr on this. And what I want you to look at is we've got an even tone all the way across. What I want you to look at is the degree of polish. It's kind of like a dull.
Look at it from the same angle.
It's kind of like a dull shine.
Mm-hmm. Like a stainless steel, polished stainless steel, not a full-on mirror.
So now we're going to go to the maple block. You can add more. You can add some to here, but often I don't. There's so much diamond in that maple that I probably don't need it. I'll add it to this. Same thing.
So how would you dress this if you were going to redress it?
If you're really good with a hand, well, first I would probably cut off some of the surface with a saw, bandsaw or something.
Cut it off.
So you're getting rid of all that diamond.
Yeah.
And then flatten it in some way. Surface thickness planer if you're not good with hand planes, or a hand plane if you're good with hand planes.
Okay.
Now I'm going to do 10 strokes. This you definitely want to go.
Yeah, that blade will just cut right into that maple, right?
And you see I've done that in a couple of places.
You could say I did it.
It's me. I did it. Roughly 10. I do roughly 10 strokes here. Then I do the back. This is hard maple. You want something hard.
Yeah.
And then the final thing is running the edge through the end grain like that. And that is supposed to get rid of any burr and toughen the edge.
Yeah,
from what I've heard. Now, if you look at that, it's actually not as shiny as it usually gets, but it should be more of a mirror polish.
I can see your fingernail in it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now the test. How do you test whether it's sharp? And Brian used to have this thing where you drag a tissue across there and see if it drags, and I could never get that to work. So I just never tested. Conrad Sauer,
Okay.
he did a post on how he tests if a blade is sharp, and he runs it through his fingernail. And I tried that. And just be careful.
Yeah, you could end up running it through your finger.
So I run it through your fingernail like that, and should feel silky smooth.
Okay.
And that's that.
No pressure here. You're not pushing down. You're
yeah.
just touching as you go across.
If there's a nick in there, you'll feel it.
Okay.
And actually, when I started doing that, I realized that that spot here where I went more than 5, I wasn't doing that. And when I would test the blade after that, I would feel nicks, and that's when I changed my process.
So you were kind of ignoring the fact that it's not quite enough burr over here,
right.
and that was actually causing a problem in the long.
It was causing small nicks.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was leaving them in there.
But I realized that after I started testing this way, and that's where I added that into the process of making sure I had a burr edge to edge.
Okay.
At that stage on here.
Okay.
Then this is ready to go.
Cool.
So, in practice, it's just a few minutes.
Well, this was only 16 minutes.
Yeah,
as a demonstration.
Yeah,
so
but in practice, if you're just doing it, a stroke here, 3-4 minutes, you're back up and running. The only thing I don't like about this whole system is that my hands get dirty, and I don't have water in the shop. So you wouldn't want to pick up a piece of cherry at this point. So I have to go back
scratch
in the
your
house.
nose.
I have to go back in the house and wash up.
All right. But how long does that edge last?
It lasts a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. We often go a whole class without resharpening.
Making a whole chair.
Yeah. Probably needs to be maybe sharpened once or twice while you're making a whole chair.
Okay.
Yeah.
You get better quality results if you stay sharp. Cool. Thanks. Yeah. Hey, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're interested in learning how to build the Berea ladderback, either in person at my shop or remotely online, you can find all the information you need at jointeffort.net/BLP.